Okay, so we've established that our criteria is going to be based on times. Or so does anybody have any ideas about, what kind of new policy we should put in place?
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
I feel as though we should have a specific policy that states, specifically on public sharing of the workplace, and really goes into, what is considered, negative and deliberatory slander, and that needs to be definitely clarified within that, going through, consequences and how it'll be handled throughout the workplace. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's good. I think we can also go from what they had before, because they said that no one should be, I'm saying it from my head, disrespectfully and use profanity in the company. So we should see first of all what the company, because for the company to use those two words, it has to be very important for them. So we have to see exactly what do they mean from that, and then we enforce it. Was what didn't exist and what exists now. So I'm sure this policy was created before social media was there before, maybe. So they could not, have talked about social media. Now that we have everything, we can just go from these two policy, and then enforce it. Put some specific word and specific name. Say, hey, you cannot say this in this social media. You cannot talk about our company in Facebook without consulting a manager to approve what you're saying. We have to have something very specific like that. So then the company, when an employee is going back, I say when Ken is going back to Facebook, he will know, what? I should not say that because it's not approved yet.
Yeah, I think I have something actually similar in essentially like employees can't post anything about the company on social media unless those posts are like approved, and then like preferably by like a social media manager. I think like Susanna was one. And then if the employee wants to post something, they can just email the contents of the message and wait for approval.
Yeah.
Piggybacking on top of that, I know that you were saying something along the lines of having the managers approve any posts relating to the company before they post it. Rachel, one of the employees there, had mentioned that, and along with that, she mentioned having them think twice about friending personal contacts, or professional contacts, my apologies. So maybe we add something like that in there, and if you're gonna have professional contacts sitting on your personal Facebook page or Instagram or whatever they use, we need to let them know that, they're gonna be able to see everything you post. Some of those lines.
Yeah, some kind of like filtering on who can read and who cannot read the information that we're putting in there.
Absolutely. So privacy settings would be a good thing to touch on too, along with all of that. We can kind of add that in there.
Yeah.
I also think another important part would be like the consequences for not following the rules as well, so that people adhere to them.
Yeah.
So with the consequences, I think, did she mention that also, Rachel? I'm trying to look through.
Yeah, it's like the punishment. That's, if what should be done after we take a decision from what happened right now.
Right.
Because we are setting up a policy, but don't lose the fact that a fault is right there. I mean, what the company call a fault is right there that we have to evaluate also and see what the punishment can be. And that punishment will be then the rule from now on, and we'll see how we will communicate that rule to the employee from now on.
Okay, so does everybody kind of agree that, I guess everybody's kind of on the same page that it has to go through somebody before they can post it. And then we're also talking about privacy settings, so kind of not allowing, employees to have friends on social media who are also customers.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next we can start talking about how that policy should be communicated. So I guess, Karsyn, do you have any idea of or any preference for how you want that to be communicated?
I definitely think communicating it in a team meeting would be a good idea, as you can ensure that everyone is paying attention and that the message gets across clearly and there's no misunderstandings with the wordage.
And
Yeah, it's a sales company, so sales companies usually they have a daily or a weekly, team meetings. That's right.
Along with that, maybe something that the employees could sign, kind of acknowledging that they have, absorbed the information, like they actually received it.
I also feel it's like super important to be really transparent in general, because you wouldn't want anybody to feel singled out, or because this does apply to like every generation, although this is like more of like a millennial based thing, but everybody needs to know that this just isn't focusing on one person's mistake, and that everybody is definitely these rules apply to everyone, and there's no form of singling one out, because that could just cause more tension and such.
I agree. That's really important, focusing on culture also as we're implementing these changes, because we don't want a single group to feel more targeted than the other, because singling out our employees is what's going to cause our downfall.
Exactly.
Okay. I just realized I think we have to also point out the negatives to our solutions, evaluating them, or do you guys want to do that kind of later?
We can kind of do that all together. That's really evaluating.
I kind of thought, with the, the strict regulating and the approval and privacy settings, I feel some people may feel like this is against their
their basic rights, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, that's
you're impeding on that.
They get super offended by that, and that's just something that the company is going to have to be willing to.
Be prepared to confront.
Be prepared to deal with. That's people are very sensitive and like just conscious about their rights, and they that it needs to be really explained that this is it's for the team, and
I think
the well-being of the entire company, and it needs to be explained like how their actions affect the company directly. It needs to be explained. When you do this makes us
make sure they understand, not that it's just receiving direction.
Not that
they understand what.
I think
like that's an issue that they had in the first place, is that they weren't they just kind of ignored him and his requests, and that I'm sure that like made him want to go post something negative. They're like, oh, they ignored me. So that's definitely something that
which they did. They mentioned later on.
I think also, if you look at it from, I guess, the time perspective, if you have to send a post through a social media manager every time you want to post something about your company, that takes away a lot of their time. Whereas
Absolutely.
if you made them like just put their account on private, that's something that you could do in a few seconds, a minute max.
I will say go on.
You can go ahead.
I was going to say, along with that, they did mention that Kenton was, he had some positive things to say about the company also. So maybe if he had to get the message approved every single time he wanted to say something positive about the company, he would stop saying those things, and the people receiving those messages, or seeing those posts, let me say, will no longer get like that positive feedback about the company. They don't know anything about the company,
Yeah, and
so
I think when we're trying to have them contact the manager, it's just to make sure that what they're posting is appropriate for the managers. So I think the waiting time should not be an issue. They have to go through it. It's either or. It's like if I don't want you to post stuff on your social media unless I see it, and I'm paying you to work for me, and it's my information. So the waiting time should not be an issue. So we should tell them, you should contact me. If I don't have time to look at it now, well, you gotta wait until I have time to look at it so you can post it.
Well, we do have an actual company social media page, right?
Right.
So I mean, if we do want that, I guess, interaction with the public, we can just be more active on that page, you know.
I want to stay a little bit into the what you call it, the communication, the way because we started it, but we didn't, and what we had here, say, through the meetings and then signing agreements, which is very good because almost all companies that don't want the information to go out, they have people sign this memorandum that I will keep it and I won't say anything about your in other places. And then say also that the law should be general for everybody. And then we can implement it also in the employee handbook.
Yes.
It should be the employee handbook. And also every company, when they hire new people, they go through an orientation. And I think in that orientation would be the best place where they can sign it. But the teacher at the orientation should say it and repeat it at the orientation. That's where everything starts. That's your first day, usually at the company. You should know the do's and the don'ts of the company. And then before you leave the orientation, you can say, sign that paper, which is good.
I know that most of you are gearing towards a team meeting type of like communication, but I also felt like email would be kind of a better way to communicate that policy, because I feel like if we are looking at it from same criteria for a time, that like holding a meeting wastes a lot of time. It also wastes money. And I think this information is pretty easily conveyed through email.
Yep.
Especially if they're looking at like, okay, this is what happened. Like there's already not necessarily a standard, but like they already know, okay, this is a problem. You could clearly write out that information in an email and the wording would be the same as, in the company's rule book or whatever. And I feel like, sorry.
That is very important. This point that you bring in is so important because I look at it right now at the context that we are living right now, where sales meeting probably could be virtual, but I'm not sure it could be, but they have to have some kind of communication, which email, text, and all those stuff, that coming from the company. So that's very, very right on the point. If you look at this time right now, we didn't have the pandemic like last year, but now we have it. So we have to have new way to communicate with the employees efficiently, and that's you right at point. Very good. Yeah.
Is there, I guess, anything that would be bad about using an email or just using email to communicate that point?
I feel like
the face-to-face aspect of communication.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to kind
of convey.
I'm so sorry. I'm like terrible. I can't think today, but it's hard. It's hard to decipher like really how you mean. You wouldn't want anybody to feel personally attacked again, or like is very passive. And so that's why I also feel that at least having like maybe you could send out the email first and then just have like just a quick rundown, not necessarily the entire meeting. It's like, oh, you should have read the email, we're taking this very seriously, this isn't to single anybody out, but it is a new policy that we are strictly enforcing, just to make sure that everybody knows that it's it's serious, it's coming from the higher ups, and it's not just an email that could be not read all the way, like not,
Okay, I kind of like that, like a halfway point where you send out an email, but you also make a quick meeting so that you're not wasting too much time.
So maybe we can like throw it in on one of the meetings that we already have. So I mean, they do have a sales team, so they have to have some sort of meeting at some time.
Yeah.
And since
the sales meeting they always do have like a meeting. Sometimes it's a daily meeting before they go in the morning. Everybody come in, they grab a cup of coffee, they come in. So just especially it's a car sales company.
Oh, yeah,
They
I worked
have
at
to
Caliber.
come in and say, hey, this is what we sold yesterday. This is what the numbers should be. So this is what we need to do. So we need at least these numbers today before we go through next day. So they do that every day, sales meeting, so they can just throw the information right there also and say,
Yeah.
So this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but should we have Kenton give the presentation or like bring it up for the group? As like, I know it's kind of jumping ahead because we're talking about his punishment, but I think it would be a good way to really make sure he receives the message, but I don't know if that would be singling him out too much.
I definitely think that's singling him out a little too.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, all the attention would be on him, and he made the
I feel
problem.
Hey, this is why we talk about it. Absolutely, absolutely. That would be a little much on him.
but hey, it's about him. He's the one who came twice with the same thing. So
It's like, at the same time, what other, well, I won't talk about the punishment too much right now. Let's finish up this issue.
Okay, so I guess have we all reached a consensus, like an email, and then put it in between meetings, like between, I guess, one of their sales meetings or whatever?
Oh, okay.
And okay, so I guess we can move on to the punishment actually now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kenton.
So since they didn't really have a policy completely outlined prior to the incident, I mean, they kind of had something about defacing, so they do have something more or less like a leg to stand on if they did decide to fire him. But I don't think that that would be the best play. Let me just say that outright. Firing him out.
I agree, and I understand that it's kind of biased, but he is one of their best sales members.
It would hurt us. It just wouldn't be smart for the company.
Count on the balance.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when it comes down to it, Kenton's helping keep the company alive. But I do think we have to do something because we've told him no in the past, and he's done it again. So we need to make sure that we do something that not only go on. No, go on.
Before we punish him, let's see what the consequences of the different punishment can be.
True. So
Who's the company?
Let's outline those punishments and then apply it to him.
I mean, it's just an idea. See, let's see, Kenton versus the company. Mm-hmm. What do we have, and what are we risking of losing? What the company is risking of losing, or what the company is handing to the competition.
I think in a conversation with Toby, he mentioned some potential punishments that don't sound too bad as a starter. He mentioned making a note in the personal file, which gives us yet again another leg to stand on when we decide to take further action against an employee with repeated offenses. He also mentioned we could have him rescind the remarks, and we can use this, apply it to everybody. Have them rescind the marks, write something down in their file, and then progressively have to be more severe punishments. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, most of. I think.
Yeah, I will propose that something be done to him for the next time, because you see, when you run a company, you want everybody to feel like what I'm getting, someone else got it before, or doing the same thing that I did.
Yeah, consistency. Yes.
Right, the consistency. So Kenton, for the first time, went with the slap on the wrist. This time, maybe we don't want to fire him, because if you look at it clearly, the company didn't have any ground, just like fire him without consequences. He can come back and sue and all this stuff. But we can just have some kind of, mark, like some kind of like punishment that mark it, like probably, a week without working, or something at least to show the company that
serious.
This is why we did this.
Yeah,
but the next time, this will be the punishment, because he did it twice.
True, and I think he posted about a customer also.
Yeah.
And one of them. That's just
right.
I definitely. I mean,
right. What he said is true, though.
3 days.
A Mercedes company bringing those cheap cup and stuff. He's frustrated,
Yes.
But hey, there is a way, there is a chain of command where you can go and talk about it instead of going to the social media. So we should not encourage that, because someone else can come and say, hey, I'm doing it. He did it twice. Maybe the first time they will let me go. and the second time, no. Let's, he had a little slap. Let's punch him this time with something a little harder. Let him keep his job. And then we have a punishment that from now on, if anybody does it, you're out the door. If we can afford to get you out the door.
Nevada, I guess, do you have any idea about what punishment he should be given?
I think he mentioned having him work a little bit without pay, or he said no, time off without pay. I think he said.
Yeah, time out without pay.
Like 3 days.
A little vacation. Because he's a cell company. The cell company, you want to work every day and make commission,
Yeah.
If you don't work, you don't make money.
That would be effective.
Yeah.
The best way to punish an employee is don't give him money or don't give him the opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
And so let's keep him away for like a week while we put in place a new rule that when he comes back, he's going to sign the rule and say, from now on, I'm going to abide about this law. And then he doesn't sign it, he's not coming back.
Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love that idea. But I think at the same time, it would be wise for us to come up with an alternative to that, just in case the company couldn't afford to have him laid off for that amount of time.
That's right.
Because the managers, no, we can't put him on for any time whatsoever. They always want to make more money. So we have to give them other solutions along with that. But that is a great starting solution. I think that would be effective.
Okay, maybe that's too far. So let's get something else.
So sorry, I just realized, Nevada, you were trying to say something earlier, but I can't really hear you that well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Has it been really bad the whole time?
No, I think it just started.
Oh, okay. It's on my bed. I don't remember what I was gonna say. So.
Say okay.
Your volume is very low. I don't know why.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I think I can hear you fine right now.
Okay, it's just being muffled from my bed.
So, I guess, do you have any alternative punishments that you were thinking of?
See, that's the hard part, coming up with the alternatives. Man, what can we do that's a little less severe but still equal?
I think
we can ban him from coming to the picnic.
Can't like our tables.
Yeah, you can ban him from coming to the picnic, because he was bad-mouthing that picnic. I mean, what they use for the picnic. Which is a big opportunity for employee to meet, future prospects. You can, distribute call there, talk to people. You can even have potential sale from the picnic. So you say, hey, you are uninvited to the picnic.
What do you think, Karsyn?
I definitely think a week is a long time, but at the same time, it would definitely get the message across. Yeah. An alternative, I think, I know at my dad's company, they use they write in their personnel file and they use a strike system. So maybe something similar to that, where if they have maybe 3 strikes or something, that they do have to leave for a week or something similar to that.
And if we do that strike system, he already technically has 2 strikes. So that would put him automatically at that, that last strike mark. He can't make any more mistakes. And then maybe he'll get, time without pay or something along those lines if he gets those 3 strikes.
Right.
Maybe.
Also dock his commission for a short amount of time.
Something needs to be docked.
As much money, but he's still making money for the company, but he's just not getting his full, his full pay. Temporarily, but just to put in place hey, this is serious. I don't know.
Warning. You can have a written warning. Written warning where it will be specifically said that if he takes any other company information to the social media without permission before, he's out of the door and he's got to sign it. That's a very good also punishment. It's a warning. It will be in his path.
I think though at this point we do know he's our best sales rep or whatever. But are we really willing to sacrifice, our laws, create a whole set of laws based on one individual. Like, yes, he's
Absolutely.
good, but like, isn't that at the same time kind of unethical?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's a
but
very
what
good
we're
point.
doing now is not just about him. It's triggered by him, but now we are putting a law for the whole entire company, for the whole entire employee, the employee now and the future employees that are coming, unless some other means of communication come back that we didn't know. Like
I was
in
gonna
the
say,
90s, we didn't have social media like that. But right now, what we're doing, the law that we are putting is not about him, but the punishment right now is about what he did.
I think absolutely the strike system is a good start, and it's something that can be
I
also applied to him.
was thinking that as well, because you know you can't just make up a special punishment for him just because. So I feel if we already give him the 2 strikes, since he's already,
It's already
you
punishment
know,
enough.
he's already, and you know, he was aware, he was told the first time what he did was wrong, and he went back again, so that would just be a 2nd strike, and then now you can implement like a stricter like firing, termination, based off of that everybody else has to follow. So he's not just getting a special punishment.
What should that punishment be if you reach that 3rd strike?
So are we just trying to get people out the door, or are we trying to still give them chances? 3 strikes, I feel, is more than enough time to think about your actions. So I do think firing at the end would be fit, but does everybody agree that firing is okay after those 3 strikes?
I do. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, in most of the companies, usually the 3 is the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in most of the companies, 3. Now, I don't know whether we will go with him starting after we establish new rules for everybody, or he already done it twice. 3 usually is the limit.
Yeah, but I think if we didn't have that strike system before, we cannot fire him.
Right, but at least we have to address it though with him directly first. Before we put the thing for everybody, we have to address the fault that what he has done right now that is upsetting everybody right now.
And I think we can tell him that for him, it's not going to be 3 strikes. I feel like we could change it to like 1 more.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so we add the 2 strikes immediately as his punishment. You know, we say that the 3 strike system is going to be what we're implementing, but as punishment to you, we're going to give you 2 strikes because you've already, you know, you have these offenses and you already warned about these offenses. So your next strike is you just getting out the door, period. So we're not firing him off the back,
we are
still
not
getting punished.
3rd strike yet because he only have done 2. So we're trying to judge the 2nd strike and then put something in place to prevent it to happen again for the 3rd time to him and for the 1st time for everybody else.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So we still have to judge what he has done. And I think we came up with a lot of stuff. So
I think, I guess, so for everybody, once you reach the 3rd strike, you're out. I guess you're done, you're fired. For him, he has 1 more chance. If he gets that last strike, he's also fired. And we communicate that to him directly. Somebody from like higher up has to tell him that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a meeting with the manager. They sit with you, they do your review, and they say, this is what you have done, and these are the consequences. You know,
need to explain why they were wrong to him, though. Like, we be very specific and why we think, you know, he was wrong here.
Right. So we are willing to let you in, but you have to sign this agreement right now that if you do it again, you're out the door. Even though you are the best at us, but you cannot be the best salesman if you cause us trouble with the customers. Who are you going to sell to?
Yeah.
You see, so but he has to sit with the manager. This is personal though. See, the rules with policy we put in is not personal. It's for everybody, like Nevada said. But the what he has done, that is like personal. It's between him and the managerial thing. They will sit with him, said, hey, you did this before. We talked to you. You did it before. It means that you ignore. We don't like it. Now we have this policy. We want you to sign it before we let you in. It's either you sign it, you sign that you will not do it again, If not, you out of door,
Mhm.
or you out of door now, because he has to promise. We have to have a promise from him that
Mhm.
he's not going to do it again.
And he
He
understands.
has to know the importance of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess to recap, so we decided that our policy, even though it does take time for the social media manager to go through those things, is you have to, I guess everything you want to post about the company has to pass through, somebody. And we're not going to do where you have to keep your settings on private, because as Nevada pointed out, like, I guess that goes against their personal, what if somebody's a public figure, etc.
The basic rights.
Yeah. So, and then we're going to communicate it, I guess, in a quick meeting. It could be in between meetings, I guess, in between a sales meeting, and send out an email.
Yep.
And everybody has to sign in agreement to that.
Agreement, and also we'll put it in the employee handbook.
Yes.
That
that's a
every
good one,
employee
actually.
should read.
That doesn't do that.
And yeah,
With
with
that.
the email, everybody gets a copy of that in writing, so there's no miscommunications. Everybody's got it. They can look at it anytime.
Yeah.
Right.
And then finally, so Kenton's left with 2 strikes. We communicate to everybody else that once you reach 3 strikes, you're out, and we sit down with Kenton and have a meeting with him about like how if he gets 1 more strike, he's out.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And he's going to sign that agreement that everybody will sign, and
Yes.
we will sign it also, so we can let him in the company. His is really urgency, because he did it twice. I would have not done it twice, even though I'm probably the best salesman. I would not, because I'm pushing my customers away. Who am I going to sell?
Mhm.
All right. Does anybody have any like conflicting opinions or something else to add?
Oh,
All right.
nothing for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and we will mention also that the rules that we will put together will be very specific and very clear about what is punishable if put where. Right? It's not a who, because it's everybody from a manager to down. Anybody who has to put something there, your superior has to oversee it and do it. Then there will be no confusion. You should just have respect, because respect, hey, for Kenton, he didn't disrespect. He just said what he said.
All right.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna end the recording right now.